Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So this is part 9 and the final episode of my card making basics video series. This is what is going to be nice to have. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, I'm going to start off by saying everything that we've talked about so far is nice to have. There's not one thing I've talked about on any of the videos that you have to have that you'll die without. But what I've been trying to do is kind of build it up. So you've started with those foundations. You need, if you're going to make a card, you're going to need cardstock. You're going to need an image. You're going to need a sentiment. Like those sort of things you do kind of need. Nothing here is something that you can't make a card without. So I hope this all makes sense. These are the things that I like, that I think are great extras that I've added to my craft room along the way. You don't need to have any of them. You can actually do everything without any of these things here. But I just wanted to go through it. So, as you can see, I've got rather a lot. And stupidly, some of them kind of do jump into other categories, but they'll make sense along the way. So I'm just going to move that whole thing over. It's not quite going to go all the way over and out of my way, but it'll go close. Alright, you're probably looking at this and going, I'm sorry, what do you mean I don't need a die cut machine? You don't. If you're going to cut all your paper by hand and not buy any dies, you don't need one of these at all. But the point that I'm trying to make is here, you don't need two. You definitely don't need to have two. I like having both. My BigShot is a very large machine, and and sorry, I've got something in my throat. It does take up a lot of room, even though this is the Foldaway, which makes life very easy for me. So I do like having both. For those days that I'm just cutting out something small, if I'm just doing something tiny and all I need is just something that's going to fit through here, I just grab my Sidekick out and I just use this. I like having both. You certainly don't need both though. So that was the point with these ones. It's not saying that you don't need one. You probably do. And if you're going to do one or the other, I suggest a bigger one because the bigger one can do everything. But the small one's a nice one to have. If you do have the money, if you do spend a lot of time doing really small things, using scraps, the Sidekick will help. It's a little smaller. If you're a traveller or you like to go to planner days, crop days, craft days, the Sidekick or a small little mini die cut machine is a really good one. Along those same lines here, we talked about, when I was talking about cutting things up, we did talk about trimmers being not necessary, but they do make crafting a lot easier. You don't need lots and lots and lots of different kinds though. What I would suggest is having one that can do 12 by 12, A4, can cut basically everything you need, and then having a slightly smaller one that can do all the little bitty stuff. I love both and I have to have both, but that's it. If you looked in my drawer right now, there's about 8 others because it took me a long time to find out that the Kaisercraft 12 by 12 one is the right one. But it's again, you don't need to have both, but it's nice. So from everything here on, these are complete nice to haves. You don't need any of them, but they are nice to have. So the first one's a scoring board. It's one of the most simple little things I think I brought into my craft room. I do have a 12 by 12 one as well. Don't need both. I very rarely get the 12 by 12 one out because quite honestly, I don't work with 12 by 12 paper particularly often. And if I am working with 12 by 12, I generally cut it down before I start folding it or using it for anything. Most scoreboards will come with a scoring tool of some kind. This EK Tools one just comes with that little yellow one, and it's actually pretty good. This one is in inches. I think, is that imperial? I don't even know. No, that's metric. No, I don't know. I give up. This one is in inches. You squish things into the corner and you just fold. You just score down all the lines. Really, really easy, but like I said, it's also very small. It also on the back here has envelopes. So if you want to be able to score envelopes and things, this is actually really handy. I like this board for that reason. Also really good for lining up panels onto bits of cardstock. Sorry, not panels onto bits of cardstock, panels onto fronts of cards or anything like that. You can just sort of stick this in the corner. So this is just a pre-folded card. I'm just going to reinforce that score line so it sits down a bit flatter. So you can stick your card base in the corner here and then this is just a panel that I've decorated with paper. And you can stick it down like that. So that way you know that it's lined up and there's less chance of you messing it up. Just an extra little thing that you can use scoreboards for that I really, really enjoy. Okay, so that's scoring. The other thing that's sort of, I'm doing the big stuff first because the big stuff's the sort of investment, I guess. This is one of those things that I avoided for a really long time, and as you can see, mine is really well loved. I need to clean it. I haven't had an opportunity to. This is my Misty tool. I have the standard size. In an ideal world, I'd also like to get the mini Misty. I don't need it though. That's another nice to have. Yeah, this is just the standard size one. There is also a memory size one, so a 12 by 12 one. If you are someone that scrapbooks and wants to stamp onto those, you can get a 12 by 12 as well. I just find I mess up less often with this. It means that I can use turnabout stamps, background stamps. I love that it can do red rubber or it can do regular stamps. And it just means if I don't get that perfect impression the first time, I can go back and do it again. I waste less with the Misty, and I just love it. I don't actually find myself using acrylic blocks particularly often. If I'm using an acrylic block, it's generally because I'm doing one little stamp or I'm doing something freehand on purpose. But basically, as soon as I want to do anything serious, I just get the Misty out. Because I can also do multiple images at once. I can put, for example, we'll talk about this in a second. I could put like all of these images and stamp them all at one time. It's a time saver, as ridiculous as it sounds, because, you know, putting them all out, putting them all away. I just love my Misty. If you're serious about stamping and card making, I feel like it is a nice to have, but it's a must have, if that makes sense. While we're talking about stamping tools, this is a newer kind of one. This is something I didn't know I needed until I started using my Misty. The biggest thing with the Misty is you kind of got to, like, if you've got the stamps on the back here, you sort of got to push, and sometimes you get uneven pressure across all of them, which means it might be really dark over in this corner, but really light here in the middle. So what I've found, and this isn't the only one, but this is the one I found. This is like a stamping pressure tool. Kind of looks like a hockey puck, or an air hockey puck, sorry. And I just use that to kind of rub over the whole thing. As a bit of an example, when we went away, I took my Misty and I was stamping out the backs of my envelopes. If you saw Wednesday's video where I showed the Christmas box from Plan a Piece, I showed the envelopes that I've been doing. I've been stamping the back panels. I didn't take this, and I had to stamp multiple times, and I had to push and push and push and rub, and it actually, the heel of my hand started to hurt. This is just so much easier. You can just rub straight across the top. It's got the felt on there. It just makes it easy to use. So I'm I recommend this one every day of the week. Right, we're talking about stamps. I'm not actually talking about the stamps. I'm talking about these. These very expensive things that make life really hard. You never, ever, ever... when it comes to dies, I'm telling you, you don't need, but when I did the cutting up one, not envelope, square dies, rectangle dies, base dies, shape dies, must have. You have to have... You don't have to. I think you have to have these kind of things. The dies that come with stamps are not. They are never, ever necessities, and if I ever have the decision to make between getting a die that goes with a stamp or getting another stamp set, if I can only do one or the other, I will always pick the stamp. Because I can fussy cut all these out. I can. I don't want to. I don't like to. But I can. These are a luxury, and they're a luxury, unfortunately, that I have very well and truly fallen down the rabbit hole of, and I have to have them now. But if you're just starting out, I highly recommend deciding if you're going to do stamps a lot. If you're going to cut the images out, and that's going to, if you really hate fussy cutting, yeah, this is good. Have a look at the Brother Scan and Cut. I don't have one. I don't know if it works, but from everything I've heard and seen, it does a really good job. I want to say the Sizer Juliet is also capable of doing it, but I don't know, and don't quote me on that one. I know a Cricut or a Silhouette's not going to do what you want, so the Scan and Cut's going to have to be the thing you use. But if you invest, if you're going to do it, if you're going to go down the rabbit hole of dies, you're probably going to end up spending 4 times the amount of a Brother Scan and Cut anyway. So that's just my little bit of a recommendation. They are great, don't get me wrong. I love the dies, and I like the look of cutting them out with the dies much better than fussy cutting. I like that slightly rounded edge you get. I prefer dies. But if you don't have the cash for it and you'd rather get the stamp, get the stamp. Get 2 stamps and no dies instead of. Oh, something I missed from the Misty as well. This is another sort of newie, and you can tell I haven't cleaned this one either. This is a sticky mat. Now, before Brutus Monroe and before all the other stamp companies worked out that this was a really good idea, I used to buy the cheap sort of cricket mats. They're not the cricket ones. I think they're Napako or whatever ones you used to be able to get, either the A4 one or you can get the 12x12 one. And I used to cut them down and use them in my Misty or use them around the place to stick things down. And then the stamp companies all worked it out. These are fantastic for holding your stencils down, which is why mine's so messy. You put your card front... Where did I put that card front? You stick your card front on here. It's stuck. It's not going anywhere. Well, it is if you shake it really hard. But then you can stick your stencil on top and it won't move. It doesn't stop it moving on the paper, but it stops it moving off whatever you're doing. So it saves you using washi tape or using other kind of stickatives like that. Like I said, this one needs to be cleaned. It's very easy to clean. I have the sticky matte mist. I need to clean this. I'll do it later. You don't need the official one, just a matte cleanable work. But I have found this a really good addition as well. And the ones that you can get from most of the stamp companies will fit really beautifully in your Misty. And you can just do it that way. So I like them. I think they're great. I'm going to keep going with tools and then we'll come to the next sort of stand. This is one of those ones, again, that needs to be cleaned. Can you tell what I do a lot? I make a lot of mess. I absolutely... Where is it? I absolutely adore my Make Art Station for the same reason that I love my sticky mat. I like having a way to hold things down, and depending on what I'm using, if it's a little stencil, a little panel, I'm not making a lot of mess, I like to have the sticky mat, but sometimes you need something a bit bigger, which is why I like the Make Art Station. It comes with 4 of these big magnets. I also have a pack of small ones, which I use occasionally, and then which I bought from Officeworks. And then I have these beauties, which I love even more. They look like little chess pawns, but I just love how easy they are to pick up. Stenciling with them is a dream. You just stick it on the edges and off you go. It's just nice to have. I love the Make Art Station. It took me a long time to get one or to decide I wanted one. But once I did, it was a no-brainer, and it's been used lovingly ever since. All right, one more tool, and then, and 2 more tools. And then we'll move on to the next one. I don't think I've talked about a gel press in my essentials. If you're someone that likes to experiment to make backgrounds, likes to do different things to make backgrounds, a gel press is a really good idea or a really good way to do it. It is a way to make backgrounds that will never give you the same background more than once. And these are just some examples that I've still got sitting in here from playtimes along the way. You got different ones here that do different things, and I still haven't had the time to go back and fix them up and decide what I wanted. But they're all in here, and I sort of just keep the pulls as I do them. So even something as simple as that, I reckon I can find a way to turn that into a card. One day I'll go through this and we'll do that together. But that's the gel press also, like, it works for oxides, which is what most of these ones are. It works for paint, it works for ink. I saw someone do it with alcohol ink the other day, and now I'm absolutely in love and I want to do that. It's just a different way of making backgrounds. I also, this is the 6x8 one. No, 8x10, sorry. I also have this little one that's a little 3x5. I like the way this sits on a card front. So obviously it fits better on... Why did I do that? Obviously it fits better on American card front, but it does also look kind of cool on an Australian one if you want to print straight onto your cardstock, or you can obviously put it on a little thing and break it down that way. But I like having them in different sizes. I should also invest in a circle one. I haven't done that yet, but I probably will eventually. Do you need both? No. If you're going to do it, do the big one. But it's fun to have both. And the last one that's a tool, I have a pile of stuff over to my left and it just fell down. The last one that's a tool, I'm going to move all the stuff off, is my glass mat. Another one of those things that I didn't really understand when everyone was like, oh, the glass mat is awesome, the glass mat does so much. I can't actually imagine crafting without it anymore. I love that it's a slick surface that can go anything. It can handle heat, it can handle cold, it protects my desk, it means I don't have to worry about accidentally, not that my laminate would melt, but I don't have to worry about making it dirty. I can put something down, I can put stencil paste all over, I can put paint, I can put ink. It all just wipes straight up. Some of it obviously leaves a residue, as you can see, because I've been using it. But I do love it. Things stick to it, but then I can pick it up and put it away. And I do actually have a spot in the room that it sits in really beautifully. Absolutely love my glass mat. You don't need to have the Tonic one by any stretch, but I like the Tonic one. I like the black. If you're someone that likes white, I do know that there are, I think We Are Memory Keepers has them, and I think someone else has them, but you can get white ones as well. And if you are left-handed, you can get ones that has this palette on the left-hand side instead of the right-hand side. The other thing is this is really good for smushing or any kind of artsy, painty, messy technique, because you can just chuck everything on it and then wipe it all up. Baby wipe does the job. And if it's not a baby wipe, a couple of spritzes of alcohol, like isopropyl alcohol, solves your problem. Absolutely love my glass mat and would not be without it. I'm just putting it away. Alright, the rest of the stuff is kind of embellishments, is kind of what actually, hold on, one more tool, I forgot about this one. I showed this in my favourites, and it's getting into this list because I actually don't know how I didn't already have one. This is just a little sanding block. I love it for getting those messy edges off the edges of die cut. So when I cut this, if there's a little stringy bit, I just run thing right around each side. You can keep getting smaller and smaller if you want to. I just started to stay on the medium grit. And it just gets rid of all those little squidgy bits that don't quite cut off on when you use some die cuts. I can also, with the little corners here, I can get into the little corners of dies if it's a small one. The small ones I don't worry about so much. But the big ones I find this is really helpful. So there is that. Alright. Yes, embellishments. We're going to talk about embellishments. Not one of these things are things that you have to have, but I find they're really great for adding embellishments for different reasons. So I didn't used to understand why people use enamel dots or glossy accents or stickles or Nuvo drops or any of those things. I completely get them now. So these are the ones that I'm talking about. So anything that kind of adds a little bit of dimension to your card in the way of a dot. And I'm trying to find a card somewhere that has what I'm trying to do. I can't show you that one. There's some that I can and some that I can't. Okay, here we go. So this one back when I did the Merry, Merry, Merry. Now that card would be fine on its own. You don't have to have the baubles. But they just add a little bit of dimension, a bit of something extra. And they're not these ones, but these are the silver, the matte versions of these ones. Got silver ones as well. You can get them loose like these ones are. These ones are from Trinity Stamps. I get them from Dawn Lewis. You can get them loose and get them in different sizes, or you can get ones that already have the sticky attached to the back if you want to do it that way. These ones are from Uniquely Creative. You can get them in basically every colour of the rainbow. You can get them in different shapes. Sorry, different shapes. So these ones are the sort of ball round shapes. These ones are more like rhinestones. You can have them so they're a bit flatter. These are ones that I got from Spotlight. These ones are sort of slightly more, I'll go more dotty than uppy, if that makes any sense whatsoever. These ones are like little rhinestones, little gemstones. These ones are the same kind of ones. And then you can get them in different colours as well. So these ones are from Tim Holtz. I've got red, I've got green, I've got like a little teal, and I've got a pearl in there. The pearls are really beautiful. So I love these kind of embellishments that are something solid. On top of that, I then really, really love glossy accents. What glossy accents does is it does that. It just makes something glossy. But it also gives something some... texture's not the right word. What am I looking for? Dimension. Gives it dimension. So you can put that on the noses and it just makes them look a little bit more real. It's the same thing... And actually I'm going to add this because I didn't think of it before, but... It's the same thing as my black glaze pen. Something you don't need. But there is something really cool, and I'll show you. Just making sure this is the right one. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's just something really cool about adding a bit of black glaze to the eyes of critters. Because it just makes them look alive. It's that little bit of gloss. It's that little bit of shine, that little bit of sparkle that just adds something to a card, and that's what something like a glossy accents or a glaze pen will do. So that's just something else that's a really good way to add a bit of texture, embellishment, dimension to your cards. The thing that then Nuvo drops and stickles do is very similar, but rather than being a solid thing that you stick on, just grabbing this piece of paper, you then can make, so with the stickles especially, stickles are generally a colour, a coloured gel with some glitter in it. So you can kind of make lines, or you can do the dots the same as the other ones. And you can make them as big or as small as you like. And that's the bonus of having something that's a liquid. You can really make it be whatever you want it to be, however big you want it. It's the same thing with the glossy accents. You can make a big thing, cover the whole thing. And then Nuvo drops are very similar again. You can do lines. These are just coloured, but they're usually metallic. Oh, I won't say usually. But, I thought the ones I like are metallic. So you can do lines, but then you can do those dots the same way and make them sort of dimensional like the baubles, or you can make them more flat like the enamel dots. And the sort of way I like to even them out is I sort of flick them a little bit, and that gives them that nice little domed kind of thing. But it's another way to add that dimension to a card that you don't necessarily need something solid. They do dry solid. They're easy to kind of, you can still put them in cards and they won't make too much of a raised. But I do like having those kind of liquid embellishments as well as the standard embellishments. Okay, I'm nearly done. A glitter. Do you need glitter? No. Do I stay away from glitter a lot? Yeah, because it does make a mess. But I do like this chunky glitter from Lawn Fawn. I find it really fun to pop into shaker cards if I've got maybe some little beads, little magic beads. Those kind of things too. Like I could keep going into more kinds of embellishments like mini glass beads and stuff like that are really great for shaker cards, and sequins and all those things which are really great for seeds. That sort of all comes into this category. I just didn't get them all out of my drawer. But I do find that a glitter, and if you get a really good glitter, it works really well. I really want the rock candy from Tim Holtz. I'm trying to find it. It's hard to get in Australia at the moment. But different kind. I prefer glitter that's already stuck, which is why I like it in the stickles, because it doesn't come off and come all over my hands. But there are occasions where having loose glitter is actually helpful. So I do especially like the Lawn Fawn chunky glitter. It's the last of the glitters. The last thing I'm going to show you is some paste. Oh no, sorry, I've got one more thing. I've got pastes. Another way to add texture, another way to add dimension. If you have, I just thought of something else that I need to talk to you about. Man, I could be here forever. If you like to add texture to your cards, if you like them to be a bit more than just flat, having having paste, whether it's stenciled on, whether it's just spatulaed on, is a really good way to do it. This one, when I say these ones are standard kind of ones, this is distressed texture paste. This is a matte version. It comes as sort of like a puffy mousse. And this is the Lawn Fawn gold stencil paste. It is gold. I love the Lawn Fawn stencil paste. It's absolutely amazing. It also comes in a beautiful glitter, and I want to get the pearl one. But it just adds a little bit of texture. I don't get lots of different colours of paste because I find it really easy to put a couple of drops of distress ink, re-inkers, a little bit of oxide, mix them together, and I can have every colour I like just by having white. So I also have them in opaque. So this one's a matte texture paste. I've got them in gloss, I've got them in semi-gloss, I've got them in opaque, I've got them in transparent. I have lots of different ones because I like using different things. This is the same sort of thing. This is still a paste. If I open this up, I actually think I've used this one before. No, I haven't. This is still a paste, but this is a crackle paste. So it's a translucent medium, and when you put it over the top, it creates crackles all over the front. Just another fun way to add texture. That's all it is. All right, that other thing that I was thinking about of ways to make texture. Embossing folders. I'm falling down this hole really hard at the moment. I find them really pretty, and I find them fun to use. This one's from Uniquely Creative. It's a really great one. It just does this really cool geometric design. If you saw Jennifer Maguire's video a couple of days ago that she put up with perfect pearls and embossing folders, I actually really want to try that. So that will be coming up soon. This is one of the other Uniquely Creative ones. It's sort of in the drawer and I'll get it out later, but that's sort of what it does. It can give you a depress, so the embossed look, or a embossed, debossed, that's what I want. Embossed, raised up, debossed, pushed in. So you can use either side of that. You can add ink, you can add perfect pearls, you can add so many different things. You can add sprays to make that really cool and really it's another way of adding texture and dimension. I really like this one too by Spellbinders. It's hard to see. Do I have something colourful? Oi, there we go. things are sitting next to me. Don't know if you can even still, that's not making any difference. It's a little floral one from Spellbinders. I'm just slowly picking up different ones that I like. I want to have a go with some 3D embossing folders. I don't have too many of those. So that's sort of something I want to do. 2 more quick ones. Sorry, I know I'm rambling now. I'm trying to go faster because I've just added more and more and more as we've gone along. Just for the stencil paste, the texture paste. These are actually brand new to me. I've only had them for a couple of days, or a week. But I've only used them once. But just the difference is amazing. I didn't think I needed these. I didn't think I needed to get the proper kind of tools. I was just using a regular spatula from Kmart that I took the handle off. But there's something about this silicone and how it matte like does a background. This is one I was playing with earlier, and it just went on so smooth. It made it so easy. Just absolutely in love with these. So these are the Tonic, the Tonic Nuvo spatulas. I'll link them down below because they're awesome. All right, last but not least, we talked about embossing. Did we talk about embossing powders somewhere along the way? I'm pretty sure I did. If I didn't, let's talk about them quickly. So embossing powders come in every colour under the sun, every finish under the sun. They come in metallic, they come in matte, they come in glitter. Everything you can think of there's an embossing powder for. In my head, you need one. Oh, you need 2. You need 2 different kinds. You need a white, because a white embossing powder on black just looks amazing no matter what you do. And you need a clear. The reason you need a clear is that you can stamp anything you like with any colour and put clear embossing powder over it and it will look like that colour. So you don't need to buy every colour in the world of everything. You can just get these and it will work. The clear will work fine. Do I still have others? Absolutely. I've got black because I like the look of black. I've got gold, I've got silver, I've got blue, I've got lots of others. Embossing powders are another way you can completely and utterly fall down a rabbit hole. If you don't want to fall down the rabbit hole and you want to stick to the basics, stick to your clear, your white, your gold, your silver, maybe your black. You don't need a black, but I do like having one. That's sort of those ones. The other one that I want to show you, which is an embossing powder, it's just a slightly different kind. By the way, sorry, I think my lights just changed, so if they did and it bothers you, I'm really sorry. These are the Distress Embossing Glazes. They're a little bit different to a powder because a powder is opaque and these are transparent. So they do come coloured. I've got a couple of the Distress ones. I don't have all of them. I don't think I could do that. But they give a really cool transparent kind of overlay to things. I just really think they're cool. Lots of different ways you can use them and that's really cool. All right, last one I swear, and it's just one I've just thought of, and so I'm just going to really quickly add it in. It's in my drawer, so, you know, it's my foiling tool, foiling machine. Probably the top of the nice to haves, don't need to have list, but it's so all the trend right now, and I feel like it's only going to get more trendy, and as they bring out more different kinds of foiling plates and stuff, it's just gonna, you know, make it more and more difficult to not have one of these. So I'm kind of glad I've got one. These are the kinds of things that it can do. This was using a rainbow foil and a pink fresh foiling plate, and that's on black. It just things that I can't do this any other way. You can do it with Mink and toner ink. I've never found it gives me the results that this one has. So if you are, you know, looking for that nice Christmas gift for a crafter, or you want something nice for yourself, highly do that one. Actually, I've just remembered one more. One more is my Cricut machine, and it's not necessarily the Cricut. I find the Cricut easier. I do have a Cricut and I do have a silhouette portrait, sorry. I do find that the Cricut is easier, but I do know lots of people that find the Cricut really difficult. So I 100% understand both sides of the fence. I like the Cricut for being able to do different things. I do admit I don't use it the same way I used to, and I don't use it too much for my card making. I use it for other kind of crafts, but it is a cool thing to have to make really easy cards. It does really good cards these days. You can get like a mat that will actually, so you can stick stuff in, it will do it itself. It's a really good way to not set and forget, but you can cut some really intricate backgrounds and things with that you'd just never be able to do without buying hundreds and hundreds of dies. It's just a really cool machine, and I'm really glad I have one. But a complete and utter nice to have. You definitely don't need one, but they are a lot of fun. Alright, I think I'm out of things that I can add to this. Like I said, I could add thousands of things to the nice to have list, and I'm sure someone's going to say one and I'm going to go, of course, I forgot about that one. But just as I was going along, I just kind of grabbed in anything I could think of that I hadn't already thought of. As I said, none of these are things that you will die without. But, you know, now's a good time of the year if people say, oh, what's something that you'd really like for Christmas? And you've always looked at a Misty. It's how I got mine. Mine was a Christmas present. Mine was a birthday present. They're at the same time of year. It doesn't matter. I was like, I want a Misty. So Ryan got me that, I think. And then my dad got me my glass mat. And as you sort of go along, you sort of pick up different things. But now's a really good time of the year to be thinking about what are those nice to have. What are the things that I don't have that would be nice to. Here's a nice selection for you. I'm always adding nice to haves. I think at this point I have all the need to haves. I'm just adding nice to haves. I could also go into storage and stuff. And if that's... Actually, I could go madly into storage. If you want one more video in this series, this was going to be my last one. But if you want a video in this sort of about storage, please let me know. I'm happy to sort of combine it with an office tour or do something like that. Probably won't be till the new year, but I can add that sort of final 10th video in the series. But otherwise, this will be the last one. Thank you so much for watching through all of them. I will link all of them down below so you can go back and check out the entire series if you want to. If you are someone that is just starting out in card making, or maybe like wants to curate their collection a little bit more, if you're downsizing maybe and you sort of just want to remind yourself of what those really good things to have or things to start with are, I highly recommend checking out some of my videos because I think I've done an okay job with it. But I'm certainly not the only person on YouTube. If you do Card Making 101, you'll find lots of awesome videos by awesome people that will help you out. So I really hope that you check those out as well as mine if you are interested. If you do have any questions, or if you want to add anything to this list, or you do want to see something else, you want more information about something, leave it down below. Or of course you can find me on any of my socials. If you did enjoy this one, please give it that big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and leave me a comment down below if you want to. I hope you have an absolutely awesome rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you again in the next one. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!